Ladies and gentlemen, this is Ballet Rain. Welcome to the Ultimate Ballet Costume Showdown, where we compare famous ballet costumes from different companies to find which one is the ultimate champion.
This is episode 2 of this series, and previously we did do another costume showdown on the Aurora Act 122, and some of y'all asked if we'd ever consider doing a male ballet costume showdown.
Obviously, the answer is yes.
Hence the video.
Since we did Sleeping Beauty in the last episode, we thought today it would only be right to do the most iconic male role from the Sleeping Beauty, which is, as you can tell by our outfits today, the Bluebird.
We're super excited to do this costume showdown and finally reveal the best of the best Bluebird costume across some of the biggest ballet companies in the world.
If you're itching to know who would win in this ballet costume showdown, then make sure you hit the like button and let's go. So for Bluebird, the character, what sort of things are we looking for in the costumes today?
So in terms of the role, the character description of the Bluebird is a prince who was turned into a bluebird, and his mission is to help Princess Florine escape the tower by teaching her how to fly. It's a charming little patita at the end of Sleeping Beauty, but that's kind of the gist of it. So he's kind of this magical, otherworldly creature.
Yeah. It is a very ethereal male character. He's not supposed to look totally human.
Yeah.
He's supposed to very closely resemble that bird-like quality. Obviously, it's Bluebird. We're looking for blue.
Of course, if you're not rocking up to the show in blue, what are you even doing? Obviously, he's a bluebird. We're looking for feathers.
Yeah, a bluebird, and we're also looking for bird.
So I think those are pretty important elements that we would expect from any Bluebird costume. Blue, feathers, something that kind of reflects a sort of male ethereal aesthetic. Like if you look at Spectre de la Rose, you look at Oberon from the Dream, it definitely has to fit the overall ethereal vibe. And yes, he is a bluebird, but ultimately inside he is still that prince. So we definitely want to see some of that royalty shining through, something princely, that kind of thing.
There are a lot of directions you could go with this costume.
And like different points on the spectrum between bird and human that you can take.
So we're very excited to look through all these different beautiful costumes and find the best.
Also,
check the sticker.
Check out the sticker, you guys. Buy our merch. And as a side note, all of your purchases help us and our team to keep doing what we do for you guys. And so thank you so much to all the people who have supported so far and all the people who are thinking of supporting us in the future. It really means a lot to us. But anyway, with that aside, if you're not familiar with the Ultimate Costume Showdown, we have 8 costumes and 4 comparisons in our preliminary round. They will be narrowed down to 4 for the semifinals, which then gets narrowed down to 2 for the final showdown, where we eventually will crown the ultimate Bluebird costume. Pretty straightforward, pretty self-explanatory, but without any further shenanigans or delay, let's get started with the preliminary round.
Starting with, okay. Our first comparison of the day is Royal Ballet versus Australian Ballet.
His foot is insane, but that's besides the point. I do feel like, right off the bat, there's a lot of similarities, okay?
There are a lot of similarities.
The headpiece with sort of the beak detail.
Yeah, I love that. That's cool.
I think that's so cool. Also, like the little feathers that they have kind of coming off of the costume.
Yes.
But I do feel like the Royal Ballet takes a much more bird-like approach, and the Australian Ballet definitely gives us more of that prince.
Yeah, it gives us more of a human approach because he has that little coat.
Yeah, the little coat, but it still looks like a bird wearing a coat.
Exactly.
So it's like kind of has that, you're seeing both at the same time, which I really love.
In terms of the shade of blue, I like Royal Ballets more than Australian Ballet.
I have to agree. It's more authentic to the actual Bluebird.
Yeah. Australian Ballet is a little more teal, like a greenish, like teal blue. Although I will say I kind of like the ombre situation they have going on.
I know.
I won't lie, it's kind of cool.
I think it does add to the sort of the etherealness of the costuming.
It does, doesn't
Like I'm comparing it to like Spectre de la Rose, how they have all that like it's not tie-dye, it's like an ombre, watercolor sort of costume.
Yeah.
Same thing with the Dream. It's the same sort of effect in his costuming. So it does kind of tie in with that male ethereal role.
Yeah, I just also like the variety it adds
to
the color, because Royal Ballet is quite monotone. I like the Royal Ballet headdress better.
It looks more like a crown slash beak.
Yeah, like a crown, yeah. I think the Australian Ballet, it kind of looks like it could have been like flowers or leaves or something. It's a little less structured, you know?
Yeah, perhaps.
Whereas the Royal Ballet, it really looks like a crown, like the beak of Bluebird.
With all things considered, I still like Australian Ballet better.
Really?
I think I do. I hate to just say it's creativity,
yeah,
but I think I just love how they managed to capture that prince and bird together.
Yeah.
I think that's so cool how they managed to execute that. Part of it is kind of like, you know how the white part kind of has like that feathered effect?
It's like, it looks like he could be wearing like a little vest / waistcoat underneath that.
Yeah, but yet that's like...
But it could be like, yeah, the white feathers like that the birds have.
Yeah, exactly. I really like how they captured it. I'm siding with Australian Ballet this time.
Yeah, you're right though. Because the silhouette.
It's very fairy tale to me. Like, I'm thinking like Beatrix Potter, you know, like the animals that just wear the little...
Like
the
coats,
little coats and stuff.
Okay.
I think it's very dreamy and like whimsical and ethereal, and I'm really liking it.
All right, you sold me. Let's go Australian Ballet on this one. Yeah, I'm not huge on the shade of blue.
It's not bad, but at the same time, because they have the gold embellishments, it looks like it might be a coat, but it could be also like kind of like, again, you don't really know if it's bird or person.
Mm-hmm. Let's go with it. Yeah.
Okay, Australian, you stole my heart.
Yep.
For the first round. Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go. Okay, our next comparison, we have the Bolshoi Ballet and Dutch National.
What stood out to me the most about both of these is the makeup. I mean, can you like appreciate like the amount of art that went into the faces on these
literal art, you guys. And I like that for ethereal roles because it really gives that otherworldly appearance.
Yeah, they have like the blue like paint. Okay, you know, last time Bolshoi Ballet won for Aurora.
Yeah.
And I will say their Bluebird is looking very strong as well.
He is.
That whole production is immaculate.
What I'm not fond about with the Dutch National is how pale the blue is.
Mm-hmm. It's
like
so
it looks
pale.
like he might be a very sick Bluebird.
I mean, it is just very pale.
Yeah, it's very pale, and I know it has to match hers, like with the gold and sort of like the ivory color.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, he is the Bluebird, and I think that I wanted a little bit more blue. However, with the Bolshoi, again with the creativity level, they managed to capture both the prince and the bird.
Yeah, like the feathers across the neck, like that's gorgeous.
I know. So when I see the Bolshoi one, it looks like like this blue part, like the dark blue with the feathers, that looks like bird, and it looks like he's sprouting from underneath. You know,
like the prince, like the human.
Yeah, like it looks like that. It looks, and then like how he has like his face, and then all the plumage on top.
Yeah,
it looks like the blue bird is on the outside, and then the prince is underneath. That's what it looks like for me. The feathers are immaculate. Like the detailing is really, really nice. And then comparing that with the Dutch National,
I think Dutch National went a lot more prince, like human prince. Like it looks like the classic danseur prince attire.
It does.
Where they wear the real like tunic with the design on it. It looks like you would find this more in like Raimonda or Paquita or something. It looks like a legit prince. Bolshoi incorporates a little bit more Bluebird into there. It looks a little more ethereal.
Yeah. My heart saying Bolshoi.
I know. Again, this Bolshoi production is just immaculate.
This Bolshoi production was fabulous.
These feathers and the detailing on this costume.
And like the makeup is incredible.
Everything is there. Wow. Yeah, okay.
Like even the contour is blue.
Even the contour is blue. I love
that so much. It literally gives me that appearance of like the bird on the outside and the man on the inside.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it so much.
Let's do it.
Let's go, Bolshoi.
Bolshoi wins.
Let's go.
We have Mariinsky Ballet versus New York City Ballet.
If y'all have been watching with us for a while, you kind of know our sort of thoughts on the Mariinsky costuming, at least the most recent ones. The more recent Mariinsky costuming is very much pared down, which is not a bad thing per se. It's just...
I think it's quite pared down, even compared to New York City Ballet. I mean, it's a very simple costume. It's just like a blue unitard with some feathers and some
sequins.
Sparkles. Yeah. Personally, I like the New York City look.
Comparatively, yeah. I feel like Mariinsky is giving me, like, this particular one is giving me much more like Cirque du Soleil sort of.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
You
Like
know what I'm saying? Like acrobat. Not so much ballet.
Yeah, it's giving a lot more like acrobatic.
Yeah, like almost gymnastics-y vibes. I'm so sorry to all our gymnasts. I know this is not what you would wear, but New York City comparatively is a little bit more intricate.
It's like a classic Bluebird costume. Like,
Yeah.
you would assume this for Bluebird. Like, you could show me and say it's Bluebird, and I'd be like, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that's Bluebird.
I think of the two, I'd go with New York City Ballet on this.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, I really love the Mariinsky Ballet. Like, their company is like a lovely company. It's just their costuming, as of late, has not been selling it for me.
Yeah, I think they can do better.
I think
for
that
sure.
they can definitely do better. And props to all the people who gave us a lot of insights on that. On the other costume video, that was really, really insightful. But in terms of the showdown, I think that New York City will proceed to the next round.
Ooh,
Okay. Wow. All right. We have two very different aesthetics. For the third comparison, we had the American Ballet Theater and the Paris Opera Ballet. I think we all can see where the differences are.
Yeah, we saw this with Aurora as well because it's the Ratmansky version. They went for a much more bold, Disney-fied aesthetic, which honestly I'm not hating because it's so cohesive with the rest of the production. You know,
I agree.
I think it was very imaginative, very creative, very beautifully executed,
Very whimsical.
and very whimsical. It's kind of cute. Like I won't lie.
Yeah, he is cute. I like the little puffed pants and the puffed sleeves. Like, it's a very old-fashioned
Yeah.
sort of silhouette.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it very fairy tale for me. Like, this looks like it's drawn right out of a storybook. And that's very, very cool. Especially because the Bluebirds are, you know, a fairy tale. So
Yeah,
it works well for the story.
it works beautifully.
However, the Paris Opera is
Exquisite,
you guys. Look at all the different details and the ombre tights. I'm living for it.
The ombre sleeve.
The ombre sleeves and the different colored feathers, and oh my goodness, that is so
That's
beautiful.
actually incredible.
Paris Opera really, really lean into the bird, like
Yeah.
very ethereal quality. Like, they're so different, you almost can't compare the two.
It's just more a matter of what aesthetic you prefer. Obviously, for my taste, I think I'm going Paris Opera.
Yeah,
on this
definitely.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I respect the ABT version though.
Yeah, I definitely respect it. I
Yeah,
think it's
it's
different and it's
lovely.
unique. All in all, I'm going Paris Opera. It's
my
just very,
personal taste.
it's just more ethereal. It's more of that. It's a little bit more traditional looking in
Yeah.
terms of like the ballet costume.
It's beautiful.
It is
wow.
beautiful. Probably the most ethereal one we've seen yet.
Okay.
Fabulous.
Paris Opera.
So with that, we conclude the preliminary round. That was pretty straightforward.
Pretty straightforward.
Hopefully now you're getting a feel for like what we're looking for and sort of the effects that certain costumes and certain design elements can have on the stage. So with all of that in mind, let's go to the semi-final round. Refill your tea and snacks, and we'll be with you in a moment. All right, you guys, it's time for the semi-final round. We have narrowed down the 8 to only 4. And so now we're going to see which 2 shall proceed to the final showdown. So let's go.
We are going. Straight.
Oh.
This is where the crisis starts, you guys, and the end of our sanity.
Oh, this is so hard. I love both. Okay, these are two fabulous. I'm actually stumped. I don't know.
Yeah, for real. Like, I
I'm
don't know.
actually stumped.
We're not supposed to be struggling yet.
Yeah, I know.
Like, we're supposed to have at least another like round. We can struggle in the final showdown, but this one, I need to see a picture of a bluebird so I can see which one's more accurate.
Actually?
Yes, I that's the only way we're gonna figure something out.
Okay, so depending on the bluebird, there are like varying different shades of blue, and honestly, all of these are accurate. If you're looking at like the most common one, like the eastern bluebird, at least for us in America, this one's like a much darker shade of blue
Yeah.
with some
Orange,
orangey
like
gold color.
Oh, he's so cute. Look
He's
at him.
so cute. I love birds. And this one has a lot more light blue and like white, which is, I mean, we can definitely relate to these costumes. In terms of the overall vibe, we'll start with like something
Yeah,
more
vibes
general,
and-
just like sitting back and looking at it. The vibe that I get from the Australian ballet is
I think Australian ballet looks a little more organic, a little more natural, a little
Yeah.
more like wild, and like he just flew in from the window.
I totally agree.
Because you can see like all of those feathers that were coming off of the costume, they're meant to be sort of wispy and just like
Yeah.
blowsy a little bit.
Yeah, I think it'll look really pretty under the stage lights too.
Yeah, and
you
they're gonna
know?
like kind of sparkle and like move
Yeah,
with
exactly.
the dancer. Bolshoi ballet is a lot more structured, a little more like I don't want to say like armor, but like kind
A
of.
little bit
you know,
more
like,
so.
a
Yeah,
little
you're
more.
absolutely right.
Like a knight in shining armor, even with the feathers on the top.
yeah, yeah.
It's a little more structured, a little more poised.
I really don't want to like pick sides because like I really actually don't know. Like I love both of them. Australian ballet though, like is giving more of that gentle,
Friendly
approachable, friendly,
Yeah.
vibe.
Helpful guide kind
Yeah.
of Bluebird. This Bluebird seems more like friend.
Yeah.
And this one is more like an angelic,
Yeah.
benevolent guide.
Yeah, I think that's basically sums up how I feel about
You know,
these two.
like you feel like he would emerge in like a beam of light and some smoke.
yeah,
Whereas he would like
literally just
fly
flit
in through
into
the window. Yeah.
rest on your shoulder, and all of a sudden shapeshift into a prince.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my god. This is taking way too long.
I know. I'm like, this is not even the final showdown. It shouldn't be this hard.
I think the Bolshoi looks better constructed to me.
It's more elaborate for sure. I think that it just looks richer, and that kind of contributes to sort of the ethereal vibe. It's hard to see it when it's like a static photo, but on stage when the dancers are in action, the Bolshoi one with like the floaty sleeves definitely contribute to that sort of bird-like wing effect, which is really, really enchanting when you watch it on stage. All things considered, like I don't know. Again, my heart is just pulling towards Bolshoi. It's just ever so slightly,
But like, it would hurt too much to cut Australian ballet.
I know.
But it would also be devastating to cut Bolshoi.
You guys comment down below which one you think should move on to the next round. I'm going Bolshoi.
Let's do Bolshoi. Okay, let's do it. Let's do it.
I'm sorry, Australian ballet is absolutely gorgeous. It is wonderful.
Look at him.
It suits the character so well in a different way than Bolshoi, but I still really admire how the vision sort of came to life regarding this character for the Australian ballet. So it is still a fabulous costume. Like honestly, it was so hard to choose between
We would
the
put
two.
both if we could.
Yeah, seriously.
But then it would not be a showdown.
It would not be a showdown.
So-
Yeah.
Oh, it hurts my heart. But we're going Bolshoi.
We're gonna go Bolshoi.
No turning back.
No turning back. The next semi-final duel is between Paris Opera Ballet and New York City Ballet.
Ooh, I think to me there's a pretty clear winner.
Yeah, definitely Paris Opera.
I'm 100% in favor of the Paris Opera Ballet. I love just the etherealness of this costume.
I agree.
The blue is exactly right, and I feel like you can really see all of those feather details.
I agree. The ombre tights are cool too.
The ombre tights are nice. I like those sleeves.
Yeah. I feel like for the New York City Ballet, it's almost giving like Peter Pan to me.
Oh, you're
Like,
right.
you know,
It's
that
the
sort of-
it's the
It's the
thing.
the bottom part of the tunic. It just seems very
It looks Peter Pan.
like Pied Piper Peter Pan sort of.
and the feather. It's the feather.
Yeah, it's very. Is this Robin Hood now? I don't know.
Yeah, like
But it's not Bluebird enough
Yeah.
for me. It seems very fairy tale, like it's very whimsical, which I appreciate. But it's like more Peter Pan, Pied Piper, Robin Hood.
like very woodsy character.
Yeah, exactly.
A little less Prince.
Less Bluebird, less Prince. In our humble opinion and for our specific taste.
Yeah.
I think Paris Opera is a clear winner in this round.
Yeah.
I think
the puff sleeves really add to the wing effect.
I think so too. I
So I
love
think that's
the
really
puff,
nice.
the drapey sleeves.
Yeah.
Fabulous. I love it.
Yeah, that was
Okay,
this one was
that one
much
was
easier
less.
than
That one was less torturous than the
Okay.
other one. Paris Opera Ballet will move forward to the final showdown, which is happening in just a few minutes. So stay tuned. Okay, you guys, here we are. We have made it to the final showdown of the costume showdown.
with much dilemma and strife.
Yes, but we're here and we're faced, of course, with the dilemma of the day. Bolshoi Ballet versus the Paris Opera Ballet. This is going to be so impossible. They're honestly so similar. Like, the elements are so similar.
The
you
elements
guys.
are there.
I feel like the only main difference is the color. Like,
Yeah.
the Paris Opera chooses to have, like, a variation between, like, light teals and golds and dark blues. The Bolshoi is more monotone, but it's like cohesive in a beautiful way. They're literally so similar. Like, did y'all have the same costume team?
Yeah, they're very similar. Like they
They're
have
so
the feathers across the front. It's
yeah. And the makeup is very similar. They
Yeah.
both have the same sort of like
Headdress.
helmet. I don't want to call it that, but
Not a
it's kind
helmet,
of like
but
that.
like, yeah, the headdress.
This one doesn't have the feathers, like the plumes
No, it
on
doesn't
top,
have the plumes.
which I actually like
I
in
don't mind it,
contrast.
yeah.
Like I kind of like that it's just the feathers that kind of match
like-
what
like-
he has on the front.
Yeah, like a swan headpiece, but for a
But
guy.
like masculine.
The only thing that's different is that this has a straight bottom hem, and this has this nice feathery scallop situation.
I kind of like that, to be honest.
do like
I think
that.
it finishes it and it kind of makes it look like it doesn't just cut
Yeah.
there. It just kind of flows into the tights a little bit better for me.
This also has ombre.
Ombre tights are always, I love ombre tights.
For the ethereal male role, the ombre works really well. It adds
It
to that
really does.
ethereal nature.
Yeah,
And
for
also
sure.
because bluebirds themselves have a bit of a gradation going
They do.
on, you know?
That's actually true. There's like a gradient that goes from like the dark to the light blue. I didn't think of it like that, but you're absolutely right. One thing I will say is I think the Paris Opera one, because there is so much, it's like a little bit bolder in terms of like the details. Like yes, they're not like as bold as the ABT version, but it's a little bit more prominent, and I feel like from the audience perspective, like sitting in the auditorium, it would be easier to kind of take in those details and appreciate like the wide varied palette of feathers on the front. Whereas the Bolshoi, I feel like as beautiful as the feathery details are on the top when you're up close, but like literally sitting back here, they kind of just melt away in a way.
Yeah, a little bit.
It's a little, you know?
Yeah, I see it.
But the Paris Opera, you can still see
Yeah,
it and you can appreciate it.
And I think the intricacy, okay, maybe for me, it's just having that picture of the ethereal male role.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
need
yeah.
sort of that really intricate detail.
Agreed.
Like Spectre de la Rose, he has
Yeah.
all the flower petals.
petals.
And like Oberon, I mean, come on.
Come
like, Oberon,
on,
Like
okay.
the little cape, he has all the like the flowers, everything. So I
Nice.
almost feel like I like the Paris Opera a little bit better. It adds a little more whimsy.
Oh, wait, are we going Paris Opera?
Do we have a winner?
I think we have a winner.
I think we have a winner too.
The winner of today's Bluebird Costume Showdown goes to
the Paris Opera Ballet. Yay! It is absolutely beautiful. The way the costume works from the stage, it's just next level,
Next
guys. It's next
level.
level. It's really, really beautiful. And as much as we love Bolshoi and we love their production,
They're literally so similar.
they're
Like, it
very
could have
sim-
gone either way.
Yeah, you could have gone either way.
But the Paris Opera Ballet definitely takes the cake with just
It just has those little
subtle nuances.
Yeah, the little
in
added
costume.
detail, like the little added scallops, just a little extra color variation
Yeah.
goes a long way into the overall effect.
But anyway, congratulations to the Paris Opera Ballet. You have officially won the title of the best. Bluebird costume. There you have it, everybody. That was the ultimate Ballet Costume Showdown Bluebird edition.
Yep.
We really hope you liked the video and that you enjoyed seeing which Bluebird costume was our personal favorite.
All of these costumes were so beautiful.
So good.
Beautifully done. Like, I know we took them all out of context for the sake of the video.
Yeah.
But if you actually look at them in the context of their full production,
Yeah.
it's perfectly
It's beautiful.
cohesive with
Very
all of their
cohesive.
respective productions and the artistic vision that each company put into it.
If you like the video, then like the video. And if you want to stay up to date with all the latest Ballet Nerd content, then make sure you subscribe and hit the bell so you won't miss the next Ballet Costume Showdown.
Anyways, I think that is all from us for now. This is Ballet Rain signing off. Until the next video. Bye.
We just wanted to shout out our sticker that is you can see very clearly, or not so clearly. We have 8. That's not 8. 8. Gosh. Kindergarten, where are you? Nursery rhymes like they're peas, hey.
Peter Pan.
And
The Pied Piper.
the Pied Piper.
Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers.
They like their P words.
Huh.
Anyways,